Welcome to the Enterprise Thought Leadership Podcast, where we explore the latest in enterprise trends, tech, and strategy with the top leaders shaping the future.
Hi, welcome to a podcast on stage with Enterprise Thought Leaders. My name is Kanika and I'm the managing editor of Enterprise Talk, which is our enterprise technology platform. We have engaging conversations with global thought leaders and industry experts, which reach over 1.3 million business leaders worldwide. As technology becomes more customer-centric, CIOs are talking of AI-embedded innovation in manufacturing and industry more than ever before. European software provider Forterro has appointed Marco Metzlaff to the newly created role of AI transformation leader, strengthening the company-wide commitment to artificial intelligence, especially in these sectors. We speak with Marco today about AI adoption, challenges, and possibly the future for enterprise. We will also ask him how he plans to incorporate AI solutions for customers in the industrial mid-market. Welcome to the discussion, Marco. It's great to have you here with us today.
Thank you for the invitation, Kanika. I feel very welcomed. Yeah, and thank you for the nice introduction.
Well, you have more coming. We will introduce our audiences to your achievements. With more than 2 decades of experience driving transformation through consulting, Marco spent his early career focused on ERP technology, implementation, and enterprise architecture before moving into strategic consulting and technology companies in regulated sectors such as medical devices, pharmaceuticals, and defense. His expertise spans M&As, strategic efficiency projects, portfolio optimization, and innovation management. In recent years, Marco has specialized in applying AI to deliver business value, accelerating product development, enhancing customer services, and enabling new business models. He joins a company from IBM and has previously worked for Accenture and Novartis. So is there something I've missed there? Do you want to add something?
No, let's keep my CV a little bit short. I think that makes sense. Yeah, but you got the major points. Let's put it like this.
That's important. So my first question to you is, Marco, what can you share with us about your strategy to embed AI as a driver of customer-centric innovation and ensuring that it delivers long-term benefits for customers and businesses?
Yeah, I mean, let me shortly wrap up a little bit. What is Forterro doing, and then conclude what kind of impact that has using AI in that sector.
Also, it would be nice if you could tell us in general embedded AI and its how it helps enterprises more, and then speak about Forterro as well.
Let's start a little bit. Forterro is a company, providing ERP solution for industrial mid-market manufacturing, and our scope here is to help those companies to move forward. If you look into mid-market manufacturing, I think that the most important thing here is about 40 to 60% of the energy is put into moving forward production and manufacturing experience and manufacturing efficiency. I think that's the major topic in that area. And I think the most interesting thing there is to help those companies to move their efficiency. So if you look, you're asking how to embed AI. Yeah. For example, we have our ERP system as a core. Yeah. And typically ERP system is there for compliant operation, to ensure all, the backbone processes of a company running well. So if we embedding AI from Forterro side, we rather focusing, on helping the customers to move intelligence to their production environment. For example, understanding their machine park, to understand, the utilization of their machine, understanding when maintenance needs to be applied, what kind of effect, it has to change the products it actually producing during the production cycle. So how they can optimize their manufacturing as such, optimize the utilization, reduce the scrap they actually producing. So that's actually our focus. And if you look at mid-sized manufacturing industry, I think that's one of the major key takeaways to move the industry and keep the industry, as efficient as they've been in the past for the future in Europe. Does that make sense for you?
Yes, it does. Anything more would you like to add about Forterro and what they are doing with it?
I mean, if we go in the Forterro side, I mean, we have more than 12 ERP systems, differentiated by different kind of, manufacturing industry. And on top, our strategy is to keep that system as the core system for business operation and put surrounding things, satellite system to help actually production. For example, we have a company acquired, I think it was 2 years ago, called Prodaso. Prodaso is a company actually we acquired and integrated into our ERP system, which gathers information using IoT devices about, machine status, vibrations and all this kind of additional information, gathers that information, and helps to get insight into the production, how the machines are performing, what kind of impact, the machine downtimes have to the whole production cycle. And then, of course, using machine learning and artificial intelligence to understand the impact of those kind of information towards the production cycle and the production planning cycle. And our major product, for manufacturing here is Prodaso. It integrates into our major ERP system like Silob or Abbas. And you are able to actually plan forward your manufacturing cycles using the combination of Prodaso and our ERP systems.
Great. So while AI tools can cut across applications and operations, how do you think they contribute especially to the ERP and consulting? And this is industry wide, across domains, across sectors.
Yeah, let's take apart, a little bit of consulting from, the manufacturing side. Let's keep consulting away for a minute because I think let's focus on manufacturing side first. I mean, if we go into where AI really can stand out is, there is from my perspective, there is 5 major areas. It's smarter machines, get more machine insight, understand, your machine park and, optimize the usage of the machines to have predictive maintenance, predictive quality, ensuring that your products are produced as efficient as you can. Above that is, more resilient supply chains. So understanding what's incoming, what's outgoing, optimize your cycles for more predictive logistic and planning. Then typically, that industry runs as well as documents. So incoming documents, outgoing documents, invoices, and all this kind of things. I mean, to ensure efficient operation, I think it's important to have a certain set of document intelligence to ensure that you don't need to manually actually operate all these documents, that they automatically end up in your system. They've been processed through the system and ensuring that, you can focus on your manufacturing side. Of course, customer intelligence, understand what customer wants, understand your sales and marketing cycle. And I call that typically actionable insights, that your decision makers can understand where they can gain the most impact to the company, using AI tools to actually find correlations. Using BI tools, business intelligence tools, in combination with AI tools to understand data, and at the end gathering decisions to move things forward. If we go to the consulting market, because I was working in consulting as well, I think because consulting as such, and I will keep that pretty short and you just reduce to 1 or 2 points. Consulting as such has changed recently, because if you look back to the times, let's say 5 years, where you as a strategic consultant had, a bunch of analysts, 5 or 6 analysts helping you to gather all the information for your reports, bringing up the correlations, and deduct conclusions out of the information. Right now, almost all of this analyst work can be done using AI tools. You can use AI tools in understanding this, as well as even writing reports, identifying, recommendation is more data driven than experience driven than in the past.
Yeah, I get that. So, from being a service aid, AI is fast becoming critical to the manufacturing industry. And that's only because we're talking about that industry right now. It is critical to almost every industry today. While some sectors like automotive already use it extensively, others are still catching up. What's your opinion on the efficiencies that AI will bring to the sectors that are adopting it now, the newer adopting sectors? Because the version of AI which was adopted 10, 15, 20 years ago, or RPA, if I can say that, was different
Mhm.
from what is available in the market today. So, what efficiencies is this new version of artificial intelligence tools getting into the sectors that are adopting it
Yeah,
now?
let's go back a little bit and differentiate, larger manufacturing industries like automotive towards smaller. I think the adoption degree in larger enterprises is higher due to their financial power they actually have. So they can afford to do evaluations, MVPs quite quicker and quite easier than smaller companies, which were rather focused on the real excellence on manufacturing. Yeah. Still, if you see some statistic about European Central Bank, for example, I mean, if you look into statistics, European mid-sized companies already started to adopt AI recently. For example, I have numbers here. They use, text analysis and text mining, depending on the analysis between 30 to 48%. So it's already there. They're using it, but they don't use it that much focused on their business cases right now. Yeah. Than automotive is actually, for example, doing. In automotive, I know, due to some consulting projects in automotive, they're using AI, detecting on IoT the quality of what they're actually producing. So does that turn into scrap because of the signals they get? This was too expensive before for smaller and mid-sized manufacturing companies. This is now getting achievable technology, yeah, and for mid-sized companies, so they actually can apply that into their manufacturing process as well. I mean, we have, for example, a specially sized mid-sized tool, Podazo, I mentioned that, which is actually sized for the needs and priced for the needs of mid-sized companies. If you look, into, for example, let me just take the example, smarter machines. Yeah, we talked about this a little bit earlier. Smarter machines, predictive maintenance, quality. It helps you, depending on the statistics, what we've seen, and we actually proven that in client environments as well, to reduce the downtime, about 20 to 25% of the whole machine park, which ends up in cost savings because you utilize your machines, and that gains efficiency and helps the companies to gain competitive advantage right now. If everybody implemented this is just price pressure. So I think it pays off to be quite early in the adoption, because that turns out in cost savings and higher margin. On the long term, it will erode the margins for companies. They don't use it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So while adopting AI is driving unquestionable advantages, there are also concerns to handle. Security, there's ethics, and even AI skills availability may be a challenge. What are your thoughts on that? How do companies mitigate those challenges? How they make sure that they stay on top of and then now there are compliance about AI ethics as well in EU and UK also. So
Yeah, there is this EU AI Regulation Act, and if you look into this, I think the idea in general is good. But I will try to explain that not from the lawmaker side. I will rather try to explain right now how to handle that from the experience side a little bit, because I think it's more useful for our listeners, right, Kanika? I think what you should be aware of, first point, is that free models, if you use free models or free tools, they are not generally for free. Typically, they have, areas where they, collect your data and providing those data to everybody to actually teach the system, because the majority of our AI system needs to be filled with content. the content is a learning process. There's a neural network behind, and you need to teach and learn that kind of neural network all the time. And that comes with input and validation of the input. So if you take a for free model, you are actually the free testers and the free teachers of that model, and you can ensure, or can be sure, that all your input which you're taking there is ending up in the model. So if you have, company secrets, if you have own IP, don't put that in, general available non-paid systems. I mean, there's always, paid systems on top of it, which guarantees you that your intellectual property is not used to teach the systems. But I think that's the first point. Second point is typically selecting systems they well integrate into your company environment. Yeah, you don't want to, use a common system where you can't, access your knowledge base. Yeah, and I will explain how that comes, with hallucination and ethics and all this kind of things. I think it's quite important to ensure all this is connected to your knowledge base, to your documents, to your scope, because that reduces the hallucinations of the systems, and that reduces the probability of having, I would say, ethical conflicts, because the system thinks by itself and comes to a result. Because what we have to understand, especially by the Gen AI systems, it doesn't deliver the right answer. It delivers the most probable answer. And this most probable answer, it doesn't mean it's correct. Yeah. And I think the ethical problem, or the general problem on that, is if you're using that kind of technology to use that for processes, they need to run a defined result. Yeah, you would not ask, for example, the large language model, for example, Gen AI, to make your tax return, because there could be calculation mistake. Even it sounds plausible, there could be mistakes. I think it's very important to educate people in the use of AI, make them understand in your company that the results can be wrong, that they need to cross-check the results. If you want to have models, they taking control of part of your processes, do intensive testing and retesting if the results which you want to achieve are really the results on the long term, because the model's changing constantly. ChatGPT more or less, for example, releases a new model every half year. And, you need to retest if the results are still the same after this half year of relaunching a new model. And then, of course, taking care for right training input. If you train your own model, if you train existing models with your input, ensuring that you have a real testing and validation method to ensure that the data is ingoing really produces that output which you actually have. So it sounds like a lot of work, but with a little bit of discipline on every side and a little education, yeah, it can be easy. And what I want to encourage our listeners as well, I mean, go out and try some tools. I mean, there is fantastic tools you can use for, understanding topics. There's fantastic tools to, I don't know if you have music producers in our listener, with our listeners, there's fantastic tools for music production, for example, or there is fantastic tool for image generation or image modification. I encourage everybody to try to use those tools to understand how this AI models actually work and how they're actually producing results. You see, I'm very excited about that new technology. That's the reason why I would like to encourage everybody to use that as well.
And then that is our next question. What benefits do you think industry-specific AI solutions for daily operations in those industries will bring to the customers? When I'm saying industry-specific, we could start with manufacturing, or you could comment on any other industry. I see you worked in pharmaceuticals and healthcare as well. So what benefits have you seen? Slightly generic, but I'd like your opinion on it.
Yeah, let's cut that into little pieces. Let's go with the manufacturing. I would call that discrete processes, where something follows, a flow, and this is well defined. I think artificial intelligence, and we've seen that with our solution we provide at Forterro. Yeah, there is a way to understand the complex information you collecting. Before, I mean, if you go 5 years back, we didn't have the capability, even using big data lakes and big data warehouses, to actually understand all the different parameters and signals we can gather, rotation, vibration, in the manufacturing, differences, in the production, outages, energy consumptions, all this kind of things. And now we have the opportunity to have a tool which is capable of processing this large amount of data and find, critical spots or correlation spots, which we done manually before. And that helps us to drive efficiency, understand, how our machines and how our devices and how our technology is working, and understand and predict, outages, predict, production problems where, where your goods you're producing are not in the specification any longer, and all this kind of things, with a help of this technology understanding all these measurement points. I mean, it was generally possible before as well, but you needed a bunch of mathematicians, and data analysts to actually do that. Right now, machine learning and large language models can help you on that. So that's more or less all the discrete stuff. I think if you go for, and you actually mentioned pharmaceuticals. I mean, pharmaceuticals has a research area, where you're researching for new indications, where you're researching for new molecules. And the nice thing is, I remember the time about 15 years back, where I was in the lab, in a research lab, where they had, a bunch of substances, thousands of different substances, which had a slightly modification, on the molecule, and they tried out which is the best substance. We have right now a method how to predict, the efficiency of the substances in combination, with biological processes. As well, that's in the research part. You can search for substances which, help on one indication. So you typically have protein fits or something like that. Or if you go actually to clinical trials, you can figure out if your clinical trial is as efficient as you like it. So does it deliver the results? And you don't need to wait until the complete end of it. So that significantly reduces costs in pharmaceuticals, on research and development. Does that make sense for you?
You explained it very simply. So even though
I try to, yeah.
yeah. So that is the end of my questions for you, Marco. Thank you so much for your time, and really appreciate the inputs that you've given. And I'm so happy that you're well prepared. So we did not have this back and forth about what did you mean by this kind of a thing. But thank you so much.
Thank you for the preparation, and thank you for the wonderful talk. And I wish you a wonderful day.
You too.
Thank you for joining us for the Enterprise Thought Leadership Podcast. Please do follow us on social media and subscribe for more ideas and insights. Until next time.